I hope everyone can see my screen. So, welcome. Today is going to be the first day of Future of Tanzania. I hope you guys are excited because it's going to be fun. And it's going to be a bit difficult for some, but it's okay. So, some basic rules. All these basic rules will be on the Notion on the daily agenda page, but I'll just go over it once. So every day you should come at least 10 minutes early, around 9:50, since we do start classes at 10 to 12 to ensure that Zoom doesn't like mess up or anything, and to make sure, or since we're going to use Discord a lot too, we're going to make sure the call is working as well. Don't friend any of the students from Tanzania. This is not because we don't like them or anything. It's just because of like other problems. And if they keep on trying to friend you, please contact your teacher about that. And to add on to the come early part, we have to come prepared. So make sure if you're doing like fun projects or if you're doing the during certain problems, ACSL problems and such, please come prepared ahead of time. The answers and such will be given in the resources tab for the Notion. And if you look there, we have everything, but please make sure you come prepared. You make sure you know the material before you start. And while you're doing it, please go slowly because they some of them might not be as fast as we want them to be, and some of them are not as like adept at using the computer as we are. So I want to make sure that everybody does go slowly and use a lot of examples. And when you're showing the examples, you don't need to use W3 schools what is it, run compiler. You can use your own, such as VS Code or some online compilers, which are given in the resources channel on Discord. And when you're teaching, please go by the curriculum. This is for the sake of scheduling because one day you might be teaching, the next day you probably won't be teaching, someone else will be teaching. And if you were to go off the curriculum, then it'll probably be very confusing for the students and the teacher for the next day. And if you're going to be absent, please find a replacement at least a day in advance so the teacher has time to prepare and such. And make sure, I want everyone to do this right now. I want everyone to install an ad blocker onto their Google Chrome because what W3 School does, it has a lot of ads on the side and it's very distracting. So if everyone could just download an ad blocker right now, if you already do have one, please just tell me that you're done. But once you guys have an ad blocker installed, can you just tell me in the chat right now, right quickly? I'll give you guys like a minute, like 2 minutes to do that. Uh, all right. If you already have one, that's good. But for the ones that don't, I'll give them like a minute or two. It's important that the students don't see any ads because the ads tend to be random and they tend to like have weird ads and such, and we want to prevent that. Uh, just another minute for the other people who don't have it. All right, I'm assuming you guys have an ad blocker or are in the process of downloading ad blockers, so I'll continue. Please hide the behind the scenes channel for Discord. Make sure all of your Discord is muted so the notification sound it doesn't become very distracting. Make sure, especially that you don't show the behind the scenes channel because there we don't need the students to know what's going like quite literally behind the scenes. And I'm probably going to go over this today in class, but make sure you do have VS Code downloaded as well as the students have VS Code downloaded. All right. So in terms of service hours, since we are volunteering, you guys can log this. For deans and TAs, it will be 2 hours. And for teachers, it'll be 3 hours because technically we give them a 1 hour of prep and 2 hours of class. And so for the teaching processes, we're going to go through, for teaching concepts, we're going to use W3 schools. It's attached on the daily agenda of which sections you need to do. And make sure you slow down, like I said before, because W3 schools is seems complicated to the students sometimes. And also, You can use other compilers besides W3 Schools when you're giving examples, like I said before, because W3 Schools compiler isn't the best thing in the world. So, yeah. So, we're going to go over this in detail later after my presentation. David Chung is going to do this, but we're going to have a showdown at the end, basically like a mini coding competition for the students. David Chung's CYSA will be the main contributor for these problems. We will be going over the problems that the what is it called? The competition will go over. We will be using HackerRank for this, and integral part of our teaching is to make sure that the students know how to use HackerRank. And at the end, we're going to have this buddy system of a one-to-one student because due to new laws in Tanzania, many of the students that had signed up had to go to military. So currently, we only have around 7 students. So we're going to have a buddy system of one-to-one before the showdown for the competition prep. Now, we our goals for this future of Tanzania, I should have put this earlier, is we're gonna give them solo learn homework, and we're aiming for them to get all 4 certificates. We want them to master Python and learn how to algorithmically code, and those are our 3 main goals as of now. Now, we besides W3 Schools, which is going to be our main curriculum teaching, for using getting problems, we're going to use Coding Mat majorly. On the resources channel, not channel, the tab on the Notion, we're going there's step by step shown for the problems given. Don't write your own version of the short code because they are still beginners and they don't know the little shortcuts that we do. And so please go by the explanation that is given and make sure you prepare ahead of time so you don't really mess up majorly. Like I said before, HackerRank problems need to be familiarized for the students because of the showdown in the future. And the problems on HackerRank and the answers are given in the resources tab. And we have these things called fun projects, such as like rock, paper, scissors, or calculators. Do them intermittently, depending on the student's level, since I write here, because we want to make sure they know the concepts as well as how to use these concepts. And like everything else, especially fun projects, it's crucial that you review these problems ahead of time and make sure you slow down because it requires some complicated thinking and these students haven't really used this type of coding before, so we want to make sure they understand and the process going through it. And some of them do require like graphic downloads, such as the calculator, I believe, graphing calculator. So make sure they have that downloaded as well. And towards the end, when we finish all the fun projects, we're gonna give them some easier ACSL questions, like ACSL 1 questions, which they should be able to do. And like everything else, come prepared, make sure they're at the level where they can do these. And let the students, when we're doing ACSL problems, let the students solve it first before showing them the way that is given on the Notions resources like before. And then we're also going to do code quest if all the students are sufficient at it. And we're going to have a Tanzania group on code quest and make sure the students have an account when this is going on. And the code will be provided when the time for code quest comes. And code quest is the last thing we're going to, last thing as in like the last step of the curriculum. So once again, everything is on the Notion. If you need it, especially on the resources tab, that's where all the problems, answers, as well as other resources are. And if you go on the daily agenda, all the basic rules are there. And if you go to the Notion and if you look on the days, next to it says open. And if you open it, we're going to have the agenda of what you should be doing that day. And this will be continuously updated. And yeah. Any questions? Questions, comments, concerns, anything? If you have any, please leave it in the chat. Also, some requirements that I feel like I need to mention. Every volunteer is required to teach at least 3 days as the main lecturer, and people are also required to do 8 days of sub-lecture live notes, and 8 days of Q&A helper. And that goes for everyone. And if you don't do that, that means you don't follow the requirements and be subjected to being kicked out. So please follow these requirements. I repeat, 3 days of lead lecture, 8 days of sub-lecture, and 8 days of Q&A helper. Any other questions, guys? If you don't have any other questions, then today is the first day, liven up. And for this week, everyone should come at least 2 days, ideally every day, every all the 4 days. But if you can't, at least 2 days minimum. And yeah, that's it from me for now. And then yeah, if you have any questions, just put it in the chat. Otherwise, yeah.